Hi, Kathleen Guire here. Welcome to Trauma Informed Parenting. I'm doing a series called Trauma Informed Parenting 101. So this is the third in the series. So if you missed the introduction and the first one, you might want to go back and listen or watch, or both those. So I'm talking about, in the intro, I talked about, why do we need a trauma informed education? And how do we begin that trauma-informed education? I shared the blueprint, which I'm going to share again here in a second. And then I went on to reframing our beliefs. And today I want to talk about making sense of and peace with our past. So I want to start with something really important. Just because we're getting an education doesn't mean we're only focusing on the science when it comes to being trauma informed, because knowing all the scientific facts in the world is not going to help us if we're constantly triggered by our kiddos' triggers. Okay? So if your kids have a trauma history or a neurodiversity, which I like to call a capital letter syndrome, FASD, GAD, SPD, ADHD, and the list goes on and on. So they're going to have triggers, and we have triggers from our past. But before I move into making sense of and peace with our past, I'm going to share the blueprint again. So what we need to do first is reframe our beliefs about our parenting, about things that have happened in our past, and then next, make sense of and peace with our past, which we're going to talk about today. Next, learn the science. Next, apply the science. And then finally, change the behaviors, our behaviors and our kiddos, and have more peace in our home. Now, we have to make sense of and peace with our past if we're going to be fully present with our children. Now, what does that mean? There were a lot of times in my parenting, and I've heard from other parents that I've worked with too, that my past was parenting my children. That is, the trauma that I'd gone through was constantly being triggered, or the beliefs that I had about myself and parenting were not working because they were triggering my kids. So how do we make sense of and peace with our past? Because we have to do it at the same time that we're parenting. We can't just say, I'm not parenting right now. I'm taking a 6-month sabbatical so I can make sense of and peace with my past. Sometimes we need to go through a therapist, a counselor, journal, and all three for me, and just start thinking about how our past is affecting our parenting. And here's one thing you can do right now. What is the last contentious thing that you had with a child of yours where they really pushed your buttons? And you think about that and you're like, okay, that really upset me. Dig a little deeper. Why? Why did that upset me? Did that upset me because when I was younger, I would have never gotten away with that, or because something that happened to you in your past taught you or told you that you can't do that, or you weren't good enough, or you weren't valuable enough. So often we're triggered by our past, and that's why we need to make sense of and peace with it so that we can be fully present with our children, so that our reactions are based on what's happening in the moment, not a culmination of everything that's happened to us in our past and what we believe about parenting, which we talked about reframing our beliefs last week, all combined with one thing that happened. A simple example is if one of your kiddos spills their drink at the table, do you automatically go back in the past and think of something that happened to you and have that reaction, and it suddenly makes you very angry? Or do you just think, the child spilled the drink, let's clean it up, let's move on, it's not a major deal? So that's why we need to make sense of and peace with our past when we are getting a trauma-informed education. It's a huge part of it. Now, I am not saying that after you watch this video and you get your journal out and you're journaling and that you do it all today and you're done. No, it doesn't work that way. And like I said, some of us need to go to therapy. We need a counselor. We need a mentor. We need to journal. We need some way. And by the way, there is a workbook that goes with this series. It's Trauma Informed Parenting 101. And it does have journaling sections with questions to get you thinking about these sorts of things so that you can start working through this. But like I said, it's not going to happen in a day or even a week. It's like something that we have to continue to work on. So thanks for joining me today, and I will see you next week.